Speech is about mentoring. I would like to talk about it and then I'll give out the slides at the end because the slides that I had printed are pretty much what I'm going to say, so I didn't think there would be any point in having a PowerPoint presentation. So firstly, I will go through what is a mentor for all of you. Secondly, I will talk about the qualities that a mentor and a mentee must have. Thirdly, I will talk about the benefits to mentors and mentees alike. And finally, I will get to how to set about an initial meeting and also the subsequent meetings following from that. So what is a mentor? In the generic sense, a mentor is a role model or a coach, someone who provides perspective or insight on a specific area of knowledge. In the Toastmasters sense, a mentor is there to help guide you through the Toastmasters program, whether that be learning about the Competent Communicator Manual, the Competent Leadership Manual, the roles that are involved, or any other questions that you may have about Toastmasters. They are also there to provide feedback on your strengths and your points of improvement. A mentor is someone that will not push you to complete your roles. So we're not in high school here where you have a teacher who's on your back and telling you that you must complete this by this date. That's not what a mentor is about. A mentor is someone that will help you to encourage you to achieve your goals. And that said, at times they may also try and encourage you to complete a role that you may not feel that you have the confidence in doing. For example, I've found that a lot of people are not very confident about completing an officer role, but if their mentor is there to provide them with advice or guidance, then they will be more likely to complete such a role. In my experience, I've had two main mentors. I've had one at work who has given me guidance to make a career change from accounting to risk. So she's given me a lot of guidance and help in that area. And in Toastmasters, I've had Jessica Lawrence as a mentor, who many of you have met, and she has helped me a lot, particularly when it comes to doing leadership roles. So now I'd like to hand over to a couple of you guys to please tell me if you've had an experience with someone that has mentored you, either in a formal manner or an informal manner. Would anyone like to chip in?
Sure.
Thank you. That would be embarrassing otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you. At work, I was really fortunate to have been given a mentor when I first went into buying ladies' fashion, and thank goodness, because unfortunately I don't wear it and I've got very little understanding of how it works. This guy had a wealth of experience spanning over 30 years of buying ladies' fashion from multiple retailers in Australia, such as Target and a few boutique stores, and he ended up owning his own little chain of stores. And by spending time with him, like a lot of time, we'd often meet for breakfast in the morning, have a chat about, different things, just things in the newspaper. But during that time, we'd flick across an ad and he'd, point out a few things to me about how people advertise things, about the kind of products they sell. And the relationship ended up not just being about business and about the particular thing that we were doing, but also about entire life skills. And the time that I got to spend with him, I really appreciated. I look back on it really fondly now. But yeah, the biggest surprise for me is I learned an incredible amount about the business role that I had to do. But on top of that, I learned a whole lot about life and just sharing experience. And I think the primary purpose of a mentor, or the thing that I got most benefit out of, was somebody sharing the experience that they'd had doing directly the thing that I was trying to learn about. Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Would anyone else like to share an experience? Okay, I'll leave it at that, thanks. So for the mentor and the mentee relationship to work, there has to be a contribution from both parties. So to start with, the mentor needs to be available. And by that I don't mean that they're at your beck and call every 24/7, but I do mean that they need to be available, say 1 hour a fortnight or 1 hour a month, depending on what is agreed in the initial meeting, which I'll talk about in more detail later. But preferably the mentor should be available for things like reviewing their mentee speeches or advising them on how to complete a certain role, things like that. Secondly, they should be quite patient, so they should have an understanding that everyone operates in different ways, and some people may not want to do their icebreaker speech immediately, the one that Gwen just did. They may want to complete some other roles first and just get more comfortable with being in the club and just getting up here and talking. So for that reason, they should also be quite flexible in terms of the time commitment and the roles that the mentee would like to complete. Next, they should be sensitive and loyal to the mentee's feelings. And this applies to both mentor and mentee. So anything that is discussed between the mentor and mentee should be kept confidential and should not be spread and told to the entire world. So that's pretty much a given with any kind of mentoring relationship. The mentor should also be supportive, and of course they need to be knowledgeable. So they need to also have their own understanding of the Toastmasters program, the manuals, the roles. It'd be ideal if they completed most of the roles, if not all of the roles in the meeting, so that they can guide their mentee. They should also be a good listener. So sometimes the mentee may just want to articulate an opinion or a fact to do with their speech, and just by listening, sometimes that's enough to provide the guidance that is necessary. And lastly, of course, the mentor must show genuine concern, so it has to be a pretty genuine and honest relationship, so to speak. With the mentee, they also need to have an eagerness to learn. So it won't work if the mentor is the one making all the effort and the mentee just doesn't make contact or doesn't do anything, so it has to be two-sided. They also need to be quite receptive to feedback, but having said that, we're all in Toastmasters because we don't mind receiving feedback about both our strengths and our points of improvement, so this is not really a problem from people in our club, in Toastmasters in general, I should say. They should also be open to new ideas and also loyal again with the sharing of confidential information. There are a number of benefits to mentoring for both the mentee and the mentor. So I'll start off with the new mentees, so people who are relatively new to the club. They will get a chance to learn more about the manuals, the roles and everything that is entailed in the club, and also have any questions answered and feedback received. They'll get to learn about the club customs and standards. So, for example, when I first joined the club, I thought it was weird that we did this handshake thing every time we got up and sat down because it's not what you do at work. Nowadays at work, I expect that people are going to do handshakes when they switch over and they don't. So I find that bizarre. So just to have things like that explained that, it might not be normal in corporate world, but this is the way we do it here. And from there, I feel that the mentee would then develop a lot more confidence in being able to deliver a speech or a role, because they know that there's that one person at least in the club who is looking out for them, who's going to give them feedback, who's going to advise them of anything that needs improvement, and just to provide support and encouragement. And leading on from that, they'll just start to participate in more roles more often, and then they very, very quickly develop on their communication and leadership skills. For the mentees who are not so new to the club, there are still a number of benefits to be achieved. So they can refine on existing skills. So for example, I've been here for 4 years, but I still really struggle with table topics. So that is something that I practice with my mentor just to keep going with that. And they can also focus on new areas such as leadership. So a lot of people when they first join the club are just more about communication, delivering speeches and being comfortable in speaking in front of an audience. But after they're comfortable, they feel that they would like to help others, and that's where the leadership role comes in. And that's also an area where your mentor can help you. For the mentors, they get to learn new perspectives as well, because whenever you meet someone new, they will most definitely have an opinion on something which is different to what you thought, or a new perspective or a new insight. So a mentor will learn a lot about their mentees, and that will help as well. They'll also remain productive. So if you've been in the club for quite a while and you've completed all your speeches and you've completed your CR manual, what's next? Well, mentoring a new member and helping them through that entire journey is a really wonderful feeling. And yeah, doing something for others is something that I have found to be extremely beneficial. So when I watch someone that I've mentored come up here and do a speech or do an evaluation, I feel like a proud mom. That's what I always tell them afterwards, that I'm not a mom. But it's just a really amazing feeling to watch someone that you know that you've helped to deliver such an amazing speech or an evaluation or a role. The mentoring steps, this is fairly flexible, but for the first meeting, probably just to determine the frequency of the meetings and the type of meeting, so whether that's face-to-face, email, depends on the logistics of both parties, and perhaps to share the goals that the mentee has in and outside of Toastmasters. Then they can also explain the club's customs and roles, and also talk about the timing or the aspects of the icebreaker speech. And then the follow-up meeting, you can discuss things like the mentor can make the mentee aware of all the resources, such as the workshops, the Toastmasters International website, our club website, and they can also provide the mentee with guidance on the responsibilities within the club. So for example, evaluations are something that I guess we might have a bit of difficulty signing up, getting people to sign up for compared to the speeches. But an evaluation is something that helps both the person evaluating and it especially helps the person performing the speech. So for that reason, we're all here to help each other, and that's one of the important reasons why we do evaluations. And of course, the mentor can assist the mentee with speeches and any assignments that they have for Toastmasters. Subsequently, over time, the mentor and mentee can share experiences of how they've benefited from Toastmasters, whether that be at this club or attending other meetings or workshops or anything like that. They can also talk about things that we might not discuss as frequently in this club, such as speech contests, which are held once a year, and officer duties, which we also elect for once a year. So just things that we may not often discuss in the meetings can be discussed between the mentor and the mentee. And lastly, the length of the mentor relationship is something that is discussed, it varies between the different mentor and mentee relationships. So for example, one mentee may learn everything they feel that they want to know, and they may be confident to progress independently. So in that sense, that would be a finite relationship between the mentor and the mentee. But other people, for example myself, if you've learned a lot but you feel that you never stop learning, you may want to keep your mentor for the rest of your life. Or otherwise, most likely a warm friendship will develop anyway, and you might just keep them, you might just be friends with them and ask them for advice in an informal matter. And additionally, the mentee most likely will probably go on to mentor other new people so that the chain keeps rolling. So after this speech, have you thought of anyone that you would like to teach some communication or leadership skills to? Or have you decided that you, if you don't already have a mentor, that you would like to allocate, or that you would like someone to be your mentor? If so, you can contact me. I sound like I'm advertising, sorry. But you can email me or speak to me afterwards. There's also a mentor and a mentee form on the website. And yeah, the opportunities, challenges and rewards from the mentoring program are something that I would really support. So thank you. These sheets, they printed a bit funny, but basically it's vertical rather than horizontal when you look at the pack. You'll know what I mean when you get it. Thanks. Thanks a lot.